Stand by the rod of the apostolic. I move you forward, move into your destiny.
The first thing that the prayer that engenders dominion produces is access to the voice of God. If God is not speaking into your life, you'll be in trouble. It is by prayer that divine purposes are born. When a man who dominates by prayer is praying, one of the things that he catches from the realm is the voice of Yahweh.
He said, who am I that your mind is so full of me? God's mind is saturated with you right now. As in, if not because he's God, he would have been distracted because of the way he's thinking of you. Have you seen a young man who is in love? He's walking alone on the street and he's smiling. He's in a room because the lady sent him a text and say, I love you. He will read that message 100 times. Not because he has not seen that word. You know, he has seen the word I love you before. But there is something about this one. The reason is because his mind is full of the lady. So he's not saying I love you. Sometimes he's seeing the lady hugging him. Sometimes he's seeing himself with the lady in the garden. So that I love you becomes a potter. As he looks at it, he sees himself with her in the garden. As he looks at it, he sees himself with her on the altar. So he said, your mind is so full of me. So sometimes God looks at you and then he sees you displaying power. Sometimes God looks at you and he sees you walking on gold. Sometimes I am deliberately casting this thought on you. See, sometimes when God sees you, he sees you walking on gold. Sometimes he sees you in the company of mighty men and you are dictating what should happen. Meanwhile, you come, you are looking at your circumstance. You say, when will this thing happen? Well, he said, don't be troubled. Be anxious for nothing. But in all things, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving. Why are you thanking before you receive? Because you are persuaded. Lord, I'm not married. Lord, I want to be married. Meanwhile, God is seeing you with 3 children in your husband's house. And you people were not even in Nigeria. You were in Canada. And you are in movie. You want to kill yourself. Oh Lord. If you know these things, every time you think, you release power. In Ephesians 4:20, it said God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or think. Your thought is equal to your talking. So men who have the right understanding, even when they are talking, they are emitting power. And then there are some people that think, okay, everything God gives us is for his kingdom. So we are not supposed to live the good life. Let me show you a scripture. 1 Timothy 6:17. He said, charge them that are rich in this world, not to be mindful of uncertain riches, but to trust in the living God. See what interests me. He said, who giveth unto every man richly. That's the first thing. Richly, what it means is that he is giving you all things. And what he's giving you is not based on your realm. It's not based on what you qualify for. He's giving you based on his own realm and who he is. You may qualify for 1,000, but the last time God checked, he has never given anybody 1,000. The least God gives is 10 million. So even though you were qualified for 1,000, God won't give you 1,000. He will give you from his own capacity, which is 10 million. It's just like you go to the house of a man that has gold, and then you are looking for silver. He will say, sorry, I don't have silver, but can you manage gold? So what he says you manage is greater than what you qualify for. And the second thing he said, he giveth to every man richly for what? That he may enjoy. So God is mindful of your enjoyment. That time you were relaxing in an air-conditioned apartment, God was happy. He was more happy than you. That time you got your Jeep and you were driving in it and you were excited, God was more excited. Because he loves you to see you enjoy. So the message we preach It's not necessarily a message of making people go backward. No. It's only a dimension of the kingdom where we put God ahead of us. Because when we see that He loves us so much, we are willing to give everything for Him. Tell yourself, today is the last day I will be frustrated. The problem with believers is not that they doubt the ability of God. They know. The guy who is sick knows the ability of God. The guy who is hungry knows the ability of God. But he has a problem. The problem is that he doesn't know how to receive. So the way he thinks he has to receive is not the way God says he should receive. Because the problem with the spirit, not a problem, the way of spirit is that they have definite order for and protocol for executing their will. If a spirit wants to do something, he has an order of carrying it out. For example, in John chapter 4, from verse 23 to 24, Jesus said, the Father is looking for true worshippers. That means God is desperate to find worshippers. But that God is desperate to find worshippers does not mean anything you do is accepted. He said, but even though God is desperate for worshippers, the only worship God receives is a worship that is in spirit and in truth. So there could be 1 million worshippers. If they don't worship in spirit and in truth, even though God is desperate,